Welcome to the Nonsense in the Chaos. I'm your host, Jolie Rose. Today I'm going to be interviewing Guy Hayward, who I've met from walking pilgrimages across the UK. So I went to a website on the first pilgrimage I ever walked on my own in 2020. I was looking for a route that was a long route to walk because me and a friend had decided that it was something that we wanted to do, and we were thinking maybe like 8 weeks, 7 or 8 weeks was what we route. And we'd gone on the British Pilgrimage Trust website and found there was a route that was 7 weeks, and it followed a ley line. I didn't know anything about ley lines, but it said, oh, there's a ley line called the Michael line, which is drawn with a ruler by a human. But then these two people had written a book, Hamish Miller and Paul Broadhurst had written a book called The Sun and the Serpent, and they'd gone out with dowsing rods to see what was there, and they'd got halfway across the country before they realised there was two energy lines. So they'd been following like this wiggly energy line, and then halfway across the country they were like, there's two of them. So they started again and found where both of them started and came in from the sea and went all the way from Cornwall to the Norfolk coast on a diagonal, on the kind of longest diagonal there is. Loads of churches along that route, and loads of sacred sites dedicated to St Michael or St Mary. And so they called him the Michael and Mary lines, wrote the book The Sun and the Serpent, and that was what was advertised on the British Pilgrimage Trust website. So that was the route that we'd selected, because it goes diagonally across the UK. It almost split the southern and northern. I mean, it was more like Midlands were above, but Midlands onwards was above the line, and then the home counties were down below the line. And then the masculine and feminine, and the way they wove together was almost like it was sewing the country back together again. And it was straight after Brexit, and the country felt so divided, as it still does, and it felt like we were doing an act of sewing to sew this route back together again, to sew the land back together again. So we'd chosen this to walk, and when she dropped out, I had some umming and ahhing to do about whether I was going to carry on. But I then lost three people. Three people passed away, none of them from COVID, even though we were right in the thick of the pandemic, but very tragically, and I was heartbroken and full of grief. And so I decided to walk again anyway, to just do it on my own. And so I set out on my own, and I used the guidebooks that the Pilgrimage Trust website had offered on the second walk that I did up to COP26. Guy came and joined me, and Guy runs the Pilgrimage Trust's website and set up the charity. And so we were connected somehow. He says in the interview, I don't actually remember how it came to be. It was probably through Ben Christie, who was helping me to plan the route up to COP26. And yeah, I had a lovely time staying with Guy and sleeping along the route, doing the pilgrimage. It was really wonderful. You'll hear more about that in the interview. So without further ado, here is the awesome Guy Hayward. So, welcome to the Nonsense in the Chaos. This is my darling friend Guy Hayward. How are you? Haven't seen you for a while. How are you doing?
I'm very well.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know what to say to that, apart from everything is going well, and I'm really looking forward to this. I've always loved your wildness, and I'm loving the difference between our decors. Uh, one might say I'm normcore, and you're something else.
Do you like this blue? It's my favourite colour,
Oh
this
wow,
blue.
yeah, good point actually. I hadn't
Yeah,
really
it's
kind of noticed
gorgeous.
that. Yeah, like it's almost a kind of psychedelic blue. It's a kind of
Yeah,
like a real, really intense
blue,
blue. Yeah,
blue.
yeah.
Yeah,
A
it's Yves
blue.
Klein blue. So it's an artist called Yves Klein who tried to perfect the colour blue. That was his art quest.
It reminds me of the blue deer in
Mm.
the Mexican tradition.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Oh, I'll
yeah,
have to look that up. I don't know that.
yeah. Have to look it up. Yeah.
Excellent. How did we meet each other, Guy? And what is it you do? Tell us about what you do and how we came to know each other.
Well, we met each other through, I don't know how it came about, but you were walking. You were going from Isle of Wight to Glasgow
Yeah.
for a COP26
Mm.
pilgrimage, and I heard a bit about this, and I thought that sounds interesting. And I met you as you arrived on the
Yeah.
Itchen on the way
Yeah.
to Winchester.
That's right.
And then we met the Grand Fool
Hmm.
in Winchester,
Yes.
Jonathan Kay.
Yeah.
And then and I really liked your down to earth yet wild and fun, playful, but seeing things as they are approach. And I liked the fact that you were out there, but at the same time very approachable and actually kind of down to earth, as I say, like
Mm.
not ethereal and otherworldly and like lost in
Hmm.
that space. More like actually you knew who you were and you knew what you were here to do, and you were trying to have fun doing it and getting more people on board.
Yeah,
So
excellent.
yeah,
Thanks.
that's kind of yeah.
Yeah, and I loved you came with your bivouac and you were like, I'm just going to sleep out under the stars. We're like, yeah, that's amazing. And then we got barked at by a deer, which was terrifying. And you were
Yeah,
totally like, it was quite scary because they were right
I
on
was a
top of us.
lemming. I was a lemming stuck in my sleeping bag. I couldn't move,
Oh
so I
no.
had to freeze. And he was a few meters away from me, and then he
Oh
started
no.
barking. It felt like some kind of initiation rather
Mm,
than a dangerous moment. I mean, it
no.
was obviously fairly dangerous, but it was also just as I being invited into the wild wood. And I think I speak a lot about Robin Hood recently and on the Folk on Foot podcast. And I think Robin Hood's invitation to all of us is to come with him into the wild wood. And whatever that means, it's what most fairy tales are about, going into the woods and the dark, transformative nature of being in the unknown and not where you're going and basically being lost.
Mm,
But that's where you get found somehow. And I think there's something about it was like a whole other world, a whole other dimension of existence was being barked at me. Like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's like
It's so
suddenly,
cool.
yeah, it's so cool. It was, I sometimes you get very used to looking at your phone, for example, or looking at a screen and being drawn into that world. It's another world and it's fine. And I love it in many ways. And I get so many things done by it, including things like this. But it is sometimes we forget another world,
Yeah,
and going
totally.
more deeply into this world is what I'm about. Now, whether that means I actually do it and
Mm,
I'm a sort of and I practice what I preach is another matter. I think we're all on this journey to go back to the wildwood, even those, or perhaps even mostly those, the ones that are out on the platforms saying, come and do this and join me and come on pilgrimage, blah, blah, blah. They
mm.
may actually be the ones, I'm definitely one of them, that needs it the most. That's why
Yeah.
I got into it. It's because I actually needed it for my own happiness and my sense of belonging. And to this day, I still feel I'm trying to meet the meet the what I'm preaching. Not that I'm
Mm.
not, but
Yeah,
preach is
but
probably
yeah.
exactly the wrong word for what
Yeah.
I'm trying to do, because I'm trying to move away from organized religion entirely
Yeah.
and allow people to discover their own way to it. But yeah, I sometimes think, am I a fraud? Like, am I actually the real deal? Am I going out on pilgrimage enough? Am I sleeping
Mm.
in the woods enough? These sorts of things. And the answer is probably no.
Yeah. But I
But
think
I love
there is
talking.
often as I feel like it's a bit like an ayahuasca ceremony or something like that. Like if you're just doing it all the time, then you're not getting as much from it. It's meant to be something that's sort of, going and doing a Vipassana where you meditate for 10 days. Like anything that's a significant opening, I think you don't do it all the time because otherwise it's not got the same potency.
Yeah,
I go once a year. Had a year out a couple of years ago and absolutely hated it. I'm trying to work out how to do it this year, and it's not as clear cut as just me going and doing it. There's a few more moving parts this year, so I think I'll do something, but it won't be quite as big as what I normally do. But that, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't ever do it more than that. I don't think because I don't think I would get the learning from it that
yeah.
initiates through it. From yeah,
Also, it's a big thing. I mean, it's like
yeah,
it takes a lot out of you, but it also puts a lot into you.
yeah,
But it's ayahuasca or those sorts of things. They may be. Sometimes you get to the point where you think, well, maybe I want to do. I need it again, or
yeah,
something. Like
yeah, yeah.
everyone has their thing that they need again.
Exactly.
They
Yeah,
can't. It's
exactly.
like people go to church every week,
Yeah.
or they go to their local spiritual community, or they meet their friends. Like you
Mm.
can't just. It's a relationship, and I guess it's about returning to it regularly enough that you feel you're happy enough. Like you said,
Yeah.
that the 1 year you didn't do it, you didn't enjoy it, and you didn't feel
Yeah.
happy. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
definitely
think
need it. So how did you come
yeah.
to the world of pilgrimage and tell us about what you do, your work?
it's a lot. How one comes to what one does is a whole.
It's a big
It's a
story.
lot. It's a big story. I
Mm.
mean, maybe I'll try and give the most potted version I've ever given, or not. Maybe. So I started. I started life in a family where religion was a big part of it. My parents are both what are called Christian Scientists, so it's quite a small sect of Christianity, which is characterized in the media as those that don't take medicine, which is true, and also that is founded by a woman in America in the late 19th century. It's very much about praying for healing. So you pray to God to heal you, basically. And it's sort of on many levels as simple as that, which is why they don't take medicine. But I guess it caused quite a few issues in my family. Like my grandma didn't like it. And I noticed how religion created division, or at least belief systems created division and identities. I believe this, I don't believe that, that kind of thing. And so I think on some level in my being, I got the message, what you believe is it's great, but it can also actually drive you further apart from people. So what brings you together? And then I think I went to university, studied music, then I did a PhD in group singing and how it forms community. So I was focused on what practices bring people together, bring communities together. Singing is one of them. And then after the PhD, well, during the final year of it, I met a wandering minstrel when I was house sitting for the Sheldrakes, Rupert, Merlin, Cosmo, Jill Peirce, and Merlin, Cosmo, the sons had invited these two wandering minstrels for dinner, and I ended up in the dinner, and then they were telling about foraging for food, like cooking by the campfire, singing songs around the campfire, sleeping in the woods, singing to people in pubs, being welcomed into people's homes,
Mm.
telling stories and myths and songs all the way from about the places that you were walking through. And I just thought this sounded amazing compared
Yeah.
to sitting behind a laptop, writing about ideas and doing lots of research, and then having arguments with people who disagreed with me on and I just thought, let's just get out there and do something. And thankfully, this wandering minstrel, Will Parsons, he invited me on a walk from his house along the River Medway to Heart Lake Bridge, which is where the song, the Heart Lake Bridge tragedy, was about. And 31 hop pickers had died in the hop pickers, as in the beer, what
Hmm.
makes beer, had died in the tragedy. And they, the bridge was rotten, and there was a kind of inquest into who was at fault, and that their community wrote a song about it. And we wanted to take the song back to where it came from, singing it to everyone we met. When we met Barry from EastEnders on the River Path, and he just done a documentary on hop picking, which was amazing.
What?
So there are these coincidences that were starting to build, and then
Mm.
when we got to the monument in the churchyard of Hadlow, to the where they were buried, these hop pickers, effectively gypsies in the East End, you
Hmm.
know, and we sang it to these two people that were standing by the monument. We said, "What are you doing?" And it's 10 years ago, we tried to find this place. We're only here for 5 minutes now, and we said, "What's your connection to the tragedy?" And they answered, "Three of my ancestors died in this tragedy." And we thought, "Wow, this is amazing." And have you heard the song? Assuming that they had, and they hadn't heard the song.
Oh, wow.
So we got to return the song to the bloodline and not just the place.
Wow.
And in that moment, I thought something is so powerful about pilgrimage. And my wandering minstrel friend, he'd been walking for 10 months, 9 months, 8 months, 6 months, just on these wandering journeys without a kind of clear destination or intention. And he said he noticed there was so much more synchronicity and coincidence in this particular journey, and that there was something about pilgrimage and the contraction of the time. So it was only a week that we were walking, and
Mm.
he had just had a small child, so that's why we were limited with time. But there was so much magic that happened during it. So we thought, well, my body said, wow, this is a really significant moment for you. That maybe this is part of your path, or at least follow it for now. And so we thought, let's make a pilgrimage charity a few months later. After walking from London to Walsingham, and then we walked from Winchester to Canterbury along the South Downs, sleeping in churches along the way, singing for our
Mm.
supper. So we did it with no money. And it just sort of, this magical way of being came into my life. I felt much more belonging. And then I very quickly after doing it a few times, wanted to start helping other people experience what I'd experienced. And we found out that Henry VIII had banned pilgrimage in 1538. So we also knew that there was an opportunity with this blank slate to create a whole new, more inclusive tradition.
Oh, yeah, brilliant. And so, did you have to get the ban lifted?
Not really. I mean, it sounds much more exciting than it is. I think probably Queen Mary overturned it when she brought Catholicism back for the short
Yeah.
time that she did, and then Queen Elizabeth probably then complicated it again. But no, I don't know all the facts. But the fact that there is an overall taboo
Mm.
against religion of the body and moving yourself through the physical landscape, going to shrines and places as a way of connecting with spirituality. A lot of people say things today like, I just think that God is everywhere. I don't
Mm.
need to go to pilgrim places. And whilst that's true, it sort of is quite kind of a consciousness first approach. And I like going to actual places as well. I mean, I believe that consciousness or the divine or spirit it can concentrate itself in certain places somehow. And I don't think
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
I don't think that necessarily like demotes any other belief. I think that it just helps people. It gives people a focus of somewhere to go to
Yeah.
feel things and offer their prayers, their hopes, their aspirations, their fears, and just work with life.
Yeah. And the experience of being more embodied as well, because I think otherwise it's all head and we just keep being more and more head and our virtual
Yeah,
world and our screen world.
yeah,
And then we feel disconnected. And doing something actually physical with your body and going to these sites, which is connecting to the earth as well, it's an embodied experience that, yeah, takes you out of your head and makes you more present, which is what we all need.
yeah. I mean, to give another extreme of this, the transhumanists, let's say the kind of Elon Musks of this world, the most extreme form of their philosophy is they want to be a sort of disembodied brain traveling to
Yeah.
Mars.
Yes.
They want to remove the limitation of the body,
Yeah.
which is a kind of fascinating
To go
thing.
to a
But
rock with nothing on it, it's just total
yeah,
nihilism. It's like I just want to send
it's
my brain to a completely empty, dead, desolate rock. It's like, okay,
yeah,
yeah.
it's probably all a cover for a big minerals play.
Mm.
They're
Oh
probably just
yeah, of
trying to get
course.
minerals.
Yeah, yeah. They're after
But
the minerals.
there's,
Yeah.
I'm not sure they're actually going to put humans there. But
No.
this is well, it's not an entire side point actually. There is a battle in the world today of cosmologies, and
Mm.
one that says this planet is enough for us. We don't need more than this. We don't need to
Mm.
go anywhere else until we're perhaps more ready, or perhaps maybe we never need to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Between that and the more sort of supposedly advanced way of looking at things, which is let's explore the rest of the universe. You
I
could
think
say,
if everything was fine down here, if we were not killing the one living planet that we know of, if we were really taking care of it, and then like as a side quest, we were like, oh, should we go this way? Fine. But if you're literally scorching the earth and pumping out carbon dioxide into an already ruined atmosphere, then that's insanity. It's nihilism. We're just heading towards nihilism. And yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
so the alternative to this worldview is to re-enchant what we do have
Yeah.
and seek out the really high quality places of nature that remind us of what it is we want to save, and to hopefully communicate that beauty to other people, and not just to focus on what's going wrong, but also to focus on what nature gets right so well, like,
Yeah.
temperate rainforests along the western
Yeah.
coast of the whole of Britain. These magical landscapes with brooks running through and fairy tale woods and sun on the water and all these sorts of things, they make us fall in love with the simple things in life. And I think as things will get more and more complex with the media cycle and this barrage of information that we are now getting, so I think there's a more of a craving for let's just make things simple again and go
Yeah.
into nature, just sit and enjoy it.
Yeah. And I
And
feel like it's the carrot and the stick as well. I think when we're just beating ourselves up and fretting and fearing what's going on in the world, then it's all stick and it feels too much and it feels like everything's doing that to us anyway. Whereas pilgrimage is the carrot. It's you falling hopelessly in love with Mother Earth, with the land, your land, the land that has grown you. And it's such a, like you say, when you have that intention, the magic that flows and the miracles that happen just constantly, the serendipitous madness that happens, it just feels like you're back in kind of child land.
yeah,
You know, it's the world is full of magic again, and
yeah,
you feel so in love with it that the thought of anyone doing anything to it blows you away. It's like, why? How could you? And why would you? You know, it's like you're
yeah.
mistress, someone you're head
But
over heels in love with.
and perhaps rather than getting angry about it, by experiencing this love for it and having this re-enchantment, you draw people towards it by, that sort of famous scene when Harry met Sally. I want some of what she's having.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You sort of beam out this love, and then everyone goes, "What's going on there? I want a bit
Yeah,
of that."
yeah. And have you noticed a big increase in pilgrimage? Oh, it feels like there's been a huge increase in the interest in it.
Yeah, I think our website has attracted a kind of, on average, over the last 4 years, another 100,000 people per year.
Wow.
Um, so it's up to about kind of 650, 700,000 unique visitors a year now, looking for maps and downloading maps and routes and things. So we don't know how many are actually walking, but we know that there are more people interested, and the chances are they are actually walking. I think we did a YouGov survey recently about, have you ever made pilgrimage for spiritual or well-being reasons? So keeping the definition quite broad. And they said, well, 10%, 5% have made it in the UK, made pilgrimage in the UK, 5% have made pilgrimage outside the UK. But the surprising statistic was 20% of people said they were considering making a pilgrimage, which
Mm,
of the UK adult population is 8 million people. So
wow.
let's say we've got, I don't know, 500,000, 700,000 of those 8 million, and we're providing for those people.
Mm,
We've got another 7.5 million people to provide for just in England itself, and then, sorry, Britain and UK itself.
mm,
But obviously the rest of the world has probably got the similar kind of desire. So
mm,
how do we open up the pilgrimage tradition to encourage an evolution of this tradition, rather than just being simply medieval shrine to medieval shrine, which a lot of
mm,
people think is what it is, but also to make it like giving back, like what you did going to COP. There's a sense of, yes, the pilgrimage was for you as an individual.
mm,
I'm sure you had many revelations and insights into your life and transformations of your thinking and your body, but also you were using it as a way to contribute back and say thank you to the earth and thank you to the land. And I hope that more and more that's what pilgrimage becomes in general, that it becomes a campaign vessel for love of the earth itself. And things like Friends of the River Medway pilgrimage, and what we did recently with Advaya with this pollinator pilgrimage, and then you with the kind of silly mum's play stuff, and just the joyful kind of re-mythicalization, and also the wider subjects of climate change as well.
mm,
Eventually, if it's all paired and it all becomes kind of complete and integrated and
mm,
holistic, that yes, you get something from pilgrimage, but you also give back.
mhm.
I think that's the way forward.
Yeah.
And even the big world religions, the Pope issued this encyclical about how the church helps nature too. I think with these organized religions owning about 16% of the world's land, they can start to make a big difference too. So I think that there is a world shift happening right
So let's pull some cards. Let's see
now.
what the universe wants us to talk about. If you enjoy this podcast, then please consider supporting me on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Jolie Rose. This is a independent podcast. I don't have any advertising, and it's something that I am doing off my own back. I don't have any support doing this, so it's a lot of work and takes time and energy. And I want to put it out there for free, and I want to do most of the work I do is for free. So I do my moon ceremonies every full moon and dark moon for free. I write articles for the Guernsey Press, which I do for free, which are following the moon energetics. I lead the pilgrimages, and people can come and do the pilgrimages with me for free. So I put a lot of work out there for people to take part in, and it's a way for you to give me something back and say thank you. It's just the price of a cup of tea or coffee or a pint, if that's something that you think you would do, to say, oh, thanks, I love that podcast. It's a pint once a month, then that's enough to help me along my way. So anything you're able to do is hugely appreciated. And I very much value all of my listeners, and thank you for everyone who gets in touch and tells me how it's impacting your life or what's going on from, being involved in the work that I do. And I really appreciate it. So thank you. And if you're not able to give anything, don't worry, someone's got you covered. And if you just tell people about it, send people this direction, that would be great. All right, thank you, and on with the show. And I really loved our chat once about the archetypes of the Pilgrim. We said the
Oh
fool and the
yes, of
hermit.
course.
Yeah. Okay,
And the
so
Hierophant.
the Hierophant, yeah, totally. Totally. The Hierophant. The hermit and the fool, I think, are, yeah, I feel very strongly I feel like the Hierophant almost is what we land was, because when I go, we always do ceremonies in places along the route. So we sort of stop and do
Mm.
Hierophant and then we get off again. And but that, yeah, I really like the hermit element of like you doing the inner work, but then the foolish element of trusting the universe and stepping off the cliff into the unknown.
Yeah, perhaps we are Hierophants, you and me,
Yeah.
and the average pilgrim doesn't need to be a Hierophant, but they can if they want to be.
Yeah, yeah. It's an option. So I'm going to go like this, and you tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Right. So we have strife, which is the Five of Wands. So it's the what are they called? The what's Mercury's staff called?
The
Kate.
Caduceus.
Yes, that's it, Caduceus. So it's got a Caduceus and it's got some four other staffs behind it and a yellow background. But it's the word strife. Like, what does strife mean to you at the moment with what's either in your life or what's going on in the world?
I think for me in the pilgrimage world, I think strife means infighting when really we're all trying to help. The pilgrimage isn't like a big thing in this culture anyway. It could become it, but strife is disagreements become getting the better of the people in the pilgrimage movement
Oh yeah.
to the point where we're not working with each other, to
Oh
the point
no.
where this isn't as big a thing as it could be in multiplication. So somewhere along the world, somewhere along the way, like there has to be a mediator or somehow things come together.
So what is
Um,
going on? Tell us, dish the dirt. What's the strife
well,
situation going on?
well, most basically, one of our slogans is "Bring your own beliefs," and the church, for example, doesn't like that because they don't think it's good to just bring any old beliefs. They think we should bring their beliefs. I almost wish we'd never come up with this slogan, although people do like it, because
Mm,
as soon as you say the word beliefs, you start thinking about beliefs,
mm,
even though you're asking them people to bring anything. It's not
yeah.
actually about belief; it's about practice. So I feel that the strife element is us being people being suspicious of us for saying this, and that we're a sort of secularizing, despiritualizing, atheistic kind of force in the world that's trying to relativize and dilute what pilgrimage is.
Mm.
And that's exactly the opposite of what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is open up so that anyone can explore what pilgrimage actually means for them. So that's one thing. Well, I don't think without going into naming names, I don't think
No, no,
I think
don't want
that's very
names.
helpful.
No,
But I
no,
think,
don't.
but I think, people have egos, and sometimes you get attached to what you're doing in the world
Yeah.
and get sort of disconnected from what's happening in the wider world, and what the bigger mission is and what we're all here for. And sometimes letting go of being the person needs to be credited with that, or
Yeah,
which is, I suppose, a bit of a thing for me to watch out for as well, because like if I'm running the British Pilgrimage Trust, it makes you
yeah,
sometimes think, should I, like, how do I protect my position? Like
yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of think, that kind of thinking.
yeah,
And that can lead to decisions that aren't in the interest of the whole movement.
mm,
Um, and so it's just about being
yeah,
open and keeping your heart open, I think. And of course there are other people too who are thinking in different ways. But I think that's the strife. It's the sort of not us not realizing how similar we are, how we are all working to this common aim. And the bigger fight is against people who are trying to stop this kind of thing happening, not
yeah,
just the ones that are trying to make it happen.
yeah, yeah. It's so weird, isn't it? Yeah, we do create. I mean, it's the thing that I learned probably the most from my first pilgrimage when I walked on my own was how incredible everybody was in the way they received me. They welcomed me into their homes, they fed me, they looked after me. There's something about being vulnerable that people just take care of you. And yet they all were completely nuts and all living in completely different realities. And, from it was just the same year as Brexit. So Brexit was like in full swing. And you had the Leavers and the Remainers and pro Trump and against Trump and all the different types of people, but they all took care of me and they were all kind and they were all amazing and they all lived in completely different realities. And I was just like, the fact that any of us managed to cobble something together is incredible because you're all on different planets. And what an amazing group of people we all are. Like, everyone's doing their best. People are scared. People are just trying to get through their lives. They're trying to do the best they can, and everyone feels like each other's enemies, but actually we're all very similar. We've got more in common than not.
Did you even get to the point where you thought, we actually need these differences, regardless of whether they are right or wrong?
Absolutely. I mean, I moved to Sark. There's 500 people on Sark, and it feels like an absolute cross section of society. So
Mm.
I'm watching multimillionaires argue with bin men over how to train a dog. And every single one of us is vital. We're all bringing something to the table. It's like I've got a microcosm of the macro. It's amazing. And everyone's vital. We're all bringing I want to live in a kaleidoscope. I don't want to live in one color. I want it to be psychedelic madness, and it's always changing, because that's the other thing that I've learned from living in a small community. One email, one drunken snog, one argument can change the whole picture. Like literally everything changes because of one decision that someone makes. And so it makes you realize how much we all are impacting the world around us. It could be, because even if you think you do nothing, you might just suddenly drop down dead somewhere random. Like whatever's going on, you're going to cause some sort of hoo-ha at some point. Like somehow you're going
Yeah.
to affect the picture at some point. And we're all doing it, and we're all part of the symphony. Each of us is the note in the symphony, and we're making this music together, and it's a beautiful thing.
I think the opposite of strife is acceptance.
Yeah. Oh,
And
harmony.
yeah,
Harmony.
harmony. Maybe the road to harmony is acceptance,
Yeah.
um, and being open to a new way of doing things.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Excellent. We'll do another card.
Yes, please.
There. That one.
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, it's the priestess. She's very magical in this deck, so she's sort of vibrating into a different reality. It's very vibrational.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the priestess to you?
It's she is she's the guide that we need, that holds feminine wisdom, and that guide is within us. So I think within us we have this noble self, this wise voice that's speaking to us, that isn't necessarily just masculine. It's not just a kind of a fatherly, do this, this is the right path, this is the wrong path kind of voice, but a voice that helps us see the complexity of life, and that holds all the different factors and people and competing forces in balance somehow inside. I think that's what for me, one of the biggest things about feminine wisdom is being okay to rest in the unknowing and the unknowing of life, and being more comfortable in not necessarily having the answer, but um, holding space for the unknown and the complexity of a group of people are ultimately like in traditional societies. I imagine a lot of women, they were looking after lots of people and holding like mothers with a whole group of children. They sort of balance all the competing needs with each other. So it's that, but I think men have that too inside them. It's not, and it shouldn't just be the preserve of women. But I do think that it also perhaps suggests the rising role of a different kind of spirituality,
Mm.
because however you look at things and however much you want to excuse it, the Christianity and Islam, which basically are 33% and 25%, I think, of the world's faith makeup, which is pushing 60% of the world,
Mm-hmm.
is highly patriarchal.
Mm.
Even in England, there are still bishops who don't believe women should be ordained.
Mm.
And in Istanbul, if you go to the mosques, or anywhere in the world really, but uh, these extraordinary tourist mosques, there's the women get this tiny little like shoe cupboard of a
Mm.
place at the back of the mosque, and they can't even see the beautiful art because it's blocked off from them, and they're supposed
Mm.
to be covered up to the point where they're not seen, and not and that's however you dress that up, and they do try to in the signage outside. It's hard to understand. The same with the Christianity. I'm not singling out Islam. I think there's that going on, maybe to a slightly less extent, but the sidelining of Mary Magdalene, for example.
Yeah, no, totally.
So I think this isn't about whether we should not have priests and we should have priestesses instead. This is about, should we be giving women a different, like, actual role, like in the spiritual hierarchy. So Mary Magdalene was a priestess of Christianity. She was the one that anointed Jesus with oil, and she was the only one that could do that. None of the other men were allowed to do that. So there are obviously in those traditional societies, people believe that women had a sort of specialist spiritual role. Now,
Mm.
that probably wouldn't go down very well in today's society, because the idea of separating the genders is not good. But I think, should women be allowed to call themselves priestesses? I
Mm.
imagine a lot of women wouldn't want to. Like, I wouldn't. Maybe a lot of Christian female priests actually wouldn't want to call themselves priestesses, precisely
Mm.
because it has this kind of pagan connotation. But I think, why wouldn't they?
Totally. And I do,
Uh,
I feel we had a kind of metaphorical relationship with the natural world where we personified it and we gave it names and we gave it gods and goddesses because we were having a relationship with the spring and with the fields and with the sun, and we just sort of personified them and we gave them stories. And then that
mm,
got taken and it got thrown to being completely separate from the earth and became this, like, it's a thing over there. And then anything that was to do with the earth and worship of the earth and love and admiration for the earth was seen as pagan and was seen as a negative thing. And so we've created this, like, it just took us away. So that's why science and religion can't connect, because they're completely at odds with each other. But actually, that worship of the earth that was there beforehand wasn't odds with science. It was just the art department of something that was there. This was my way of having a relationship with something that actually exists, and science could tell you what it's made of, and what the parts are. But
mm,
what I'm doing is expressing my admiration for it. And so it feels, yeah, I was brought up as a born again Christian. So I had parents that were part of the Christian Crusaders group they were very hippie Christians. So they believed that God was in the fields and things like that, and would go and pray and sit outside and wouldn't be in a church. And they'd sit and read the Bible together and kind of come up with their own take on it and all that sort of thing. And so I did start life as a Christian, but it was my journey has been going completely atheist and not having anything at all, and then missing the gratitude and missing something, having something bigger than me. And that's when I came
mm,
back to the earth and I was like, well, I'm in awe. I'm awestruck by what is actually here in front of me, and this is what I'm worshipping. So I'm always a little bit I want religions to come on board. I mean, I love it when I'm on the pilgrimages and I meet Christians and we talk about it. And nearly everyone I speak to, I've never had a conversation yet with someone who's been like, "Oh, this shouldn't. What you're doing is heathen." It's always been, "Well, all roads lead to the same city, and you're doing it your
Mm.
way." And I like that, and I think that in the world in general, spirit is the thing that we threw out. We threw the baby out with the bathwater, and we're just being very literal and logical for a long time. But in doing so, we haven't looked after what we've got, and this is where we've ended up having done that. So bringing the spirit back in and everyone working together, like you say, we need to work together to do that, and it's letting something in that isn't just the words that were written down 1,000 years ago.
Yeah,
It's not helping us 2,000 years ago. It's not helping us, so we need to, yeah, just
I
I
think
don't know,
yeah,
let it go a little bit, I think.
I think a lot of people, even patriarchal men, would agree. And I think I've heard many men who are sort of very traditional views. They do also say she has a sort of wisdom that I don't understand.
Yeah.
She seems to just, when maybe talking about their wife, they say she just seems to know sometimes what's really going on, and I don't understand how she knows it. It seems
Mm.
like feminine intuition or feminine wisdom. They may still be traditional and still have that view, and that's interesting because what is going on there? Like, what is that about? And so the priestess, I feel, has a kind of gives us access to maybe that way of knowing that's maybe not fully understood. And just on your science and religion point, I actually don't think there are odds fundamentally. I think they've just science was introduced politically to sort out all of the problems that were occurring between religions and all the competing belief systems. That it was seen as a source of truth, but there's no science is now starting to show that there are health benefits to such spiritual practices.
Yeah.
So that I wouldn't say it's at odds necessarily. I would say that it's showing that meditation helps. It's showing that prayer helps, connecting with nature, singing and chanting sacred songs, and
Um,
fasting, which is in all the religions, and
Yeah, but that's
all the
certain sciences do that, and then there's the other sciences that are sending us off to Mars. So there's kind of science in itself has gone in all the different directions that
yeah,
that everything else was, the religions were doing beforehand. Because yes, science does all of that, but science is also fracking, and it's doing all the other things as well. I like the saying that religion without science is superstition, and science without religion is immoral. And it is that we kind of need both. You need to have both for us to, yeah, not just disappear
yeah,
into Wawa land, and to not just make the atomic bomb and drop it here, there, and everywhere. Like it's,
yeah. I wonder whether one of the best things is to say when you have these discussions to say, what are your values? What do you value in life?
yeah,
Because to be honest, then if you have to define what you value, then you go beyond these identity discussions, really.
yeah,
And everyone has different values, really. I mean,
yeah.
most people have a few core ones that most people share, but when you get down to the nitty-gritty, everyone has different values, and they should be allowed to have different values because then it makes for a more interesting, diverse world. But I think that's maybe a more real place to start, is like when you're trying to bring kind of direction to
Mm,
all of this work.
yeah,
Direction is obviously a really important part of pilgrimage. Finding direction is obviously on a literal level, but on an inner level too. There's an amazing quote of a teacher I once had who said, actually, I still have, who says, speed, if you have lots of speed, but you're going in the wrong direction, you'll never get there, even though you're going really fast. And if you're going very slowly, but you're going in the right direction, you will get there no matter how slowly.
yeah.
So
That's great.
direction is more important.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, totally.
so so yeah, the science that isn't going in the right direction, no matter how powerful it is and how much money it's got behind it, it's not necessarily going to help us. So yeah, and you have to think about that. But when you're in the kind of small, slightly fringe niche thing like what you're doing Mama's plays
Mm,
along the Michael line, it will become bigger. It will become important because it's the right direction. But when you're going, you think, wow, what am I really doing here? How much of an impact am I really making? I mean, you're making some impact, but you're not necessarily making kind of rockets to Mars, in fact, like in terms of
Mm.
people, but you are going in the right direction. And I think so for all those people out there who worry they're not going fast enough, they're not achieving enough quick enough, like just make sure you go in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. That's a great quote. Nice one. Excellent. And we'll do the last card.
Stop.
The Queen of Cups. So this is very
Ah.
much in a world. There's a person looking down. The Queen is looking down into the water. There's a swan. It's very watery, in a world, imagination, the dreaming. What does that mean to you? And
Mm.
water as well.
I'm reminded of one of the tasks of Psyche in her quest to become a fully mature woman in order to marry Eros. And she's presented with this huge waterfall that is elliptical in shape. And it's completely colossal and it's in a void. But she has to get she has to get a water from it. She has to take water from it in order to pass the test. And she, like with all the other tests, she starts crying because she doesn't know how she's going to do it because she'll die if she goes into the waterfall. And then an eagle flies along and has this goblet or cup or chalice and goes and fills her cup and brings back some water. And the one reading of the story, it may not be the only reading, is that the whole waterfall would drown us, but each of us have our own cup of inspiration, of purpose, of whatever we're here to do. And so I suppose when I see that, the Queen of Cups, it's the divine force that gives you everything you need to achieve your individual potential. And no more or no less than that. And so it's about sizing your existence to its appropriate degree. That doesn't mean you can't be kind of hugely abundant in your thinking, but it's about sort of not wanting to do everything. It's about just choosing what feels right for you. This is all completely riffing. I've
No, that's
never said
great.
any of this
Yeah, no, it's
before.
good.
But the Queen of Cups, it's also it has in a sense of abundance, overflowing abundance. So I'm not a tarot expert, so I'm not sure whether I'm misreading this card
No, no, that's
right,
great.
but
You
it's
should always
yeah,
trust your intuition with these things. That's what it's doing. That's what it's there for.
yeah. I think basically if you stay in your own lane, but that's not a very good right metaphor because that means that you're sort of you can't be sort of I mean just sort of do what is right for you
Yeah,
and stay true to that, and you will be given everything you could have wished of and more.
yeah. Yeah, I always love the Oscar Wilde quote, be yourself, everybody else is taken.
Yeah,
And it's just
exactly.
being yourself abundantly. That's what the Which Fool Are You course is that I was just doing. So it's about working with your archetype and getting to know what your archetype is and then fully relishing it and coming dressed up as it. And our closing ceremony last night was us all in our costumes dressed up as our archetypes. And it's always a joy because you just see people glowing and just being their kind of the bigger version of themselves, and it's such a wonderful thing. And what for me what comes through of that is the inner worldness of pilgrimage. There's we call it kairos time. There's the chronos time of, oh, we need to get there and we need to be there by tonight and wherever the next place is. But kairos time is when you get lost, and that's why I like to go for long periods of time, because I find it needs to be about 5 weeks for you to really not know really where you are anymore and you just get
Mm.
completely lost in the space. And I was meant to be doing a moon ceremony online on my phone, on the last pilgrimage, and we were sat on the ridgeway and there was a little town, Wantage I think it was, down below us, and I was just looking down at it, and I had about 2 hours, I think it was, before the ceremony was going to happen. But it was getting dark, and my fellow pilgrims had all gone to bed. And I didn't want to use my phone or look at my phone or do anything that would use technology because I was going to run out of battery. So I had to literally just sit there for 2 hours and just sit there. And it was such an amazing moment of just being completely at peace. And there was one barking deer that was running up and down the
Yeah.
hills, like running around the place barking. And it went completely dark and I could see the city. And I just thought it was a pilgrimage for peace. And I just thought how down there's all the news and there's all the stories of the war and there's all the stuff that's going on. But peace is literally everywhere. There's more peace than there is not peace, not war, because
Mm-mm.
here we are
Yeah.
in silence. Just come up onto the ridgeway and it's completely silent and everything is peaceful and it's calm and quiet and lovely. And down there's the chaos and the noise and the disruption
Mm.
and just the strife. The strife was all down there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's true. Do you remember how we met last on Michaelmas at
yes.
St. Michael's Dinner? What are the
Yeah,
chances of that,
yeah,
like
that was
symbolically?
hilarious.
And just going to St. Michael and linking it back to the Queen of Cups is his major miracle when he's depicted in the Christian tradition is the miracle of Conai. Do you know about this?
No, I don't.
Okay, fine. It's a cool one. So so there's this man looking after a holy well
Right.
in near the village of Conai. He's an old man. He tends to it and he keeps it pure. But these ruffians, I don't know, sort of teenagers or young men, come along and then they beat him up, I think, and then they divert the course of the water and then they mess it up and perhaps even poison it to hit this village and to drown it, to drown the village because they mess around with what this man is doing. They don't respect his work. And Michael comes along and his spear of light goes into the ground and diverts or goes into the water and diverts it away from the village to save the village from being drowned.
Oh, wow.
And this interaction between light, his spear of light, because the only thing in nature that is straight is light rays, and that has an impact with the water. So Michael is inherently connected to water and the wisdom of water and keeping the balance. So
Mm,
obviously water is unruly and oceanic and very unpredictable. It- but Michael is the absolute epitome of order and creating harmony and
mm,
discipline and right way of doing things. He's not obviously a water person, but I think it's the opposite. My friend has this big thing about how we don't know yet at all the interaction between light and water. We
mm.
are scientifically we're at the absolute foothills of understanding how light interacts with water, and I think if you look at that card, the Queen of Cups, there's a lot of
Mm.
light in the water,
Yeah,
and
yeah. It's light
yeah,
and water. It's almost like there's the moon, something shining
yeah,
down. It's very much a bright
yeah,
light shining in the water.
yeah. So I think there's a whole, we're only in 2026. Who knows what's going
Yeah,
to happen? 2040, 26, like
yeah,
2426.
yeah,
Will we understand light and water by then?
yeah.
I don't know.
Ah, that's really cool. I love that. Excellent. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I love the Michael line. I mean, that was the only time there was any kind of Christian funny thing. It was just like going into churches and going, yeah, did you know the energy line passed through here? And people being like, I'm not sure if that's Christian. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not sure if it is either. But your church is on the It was
Yeah.
yeah, that was the only interactions we had like that. But yeah,
Well,
it's
there are probably some cases to put this into Claude or ChatGPT to ask, are there any instances of ley lines or equivalent or kind of earth energy power spots that Jesus talked about? Like,
mm,
are there any stories of Jesus? Because probably did in some way say
yeah,
something about it. I'd be surprised if nothing ever was said by Jesus about
yeah.
that sort of thing. So yeah, that might be one way of
Like
deciding
especially
whether
the
it's Christian or not.
routes, because they would have been pilgrimaging then, wouldn't they? There was the pilgrimage route has been that's pre-Christian. People have been walking to sacred sites because there's he walks to see Rachel. He goes to the oracles, doesn't he? I'm sure that would have been an element of pilgrimage.
Yeah. Well, he was walking the whole time, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why was
but
he choosing
it's
the routes he was choosing?
yeah.
That's interesting. Oh, I'm gonna have to do some research on
Well,
that.
for example, pools of Bethesda. I'm just thinking of this. I mean, there would be other examples, but the story of how all these sick people were waiting around this well, and every few years or months or something, the wells would stir, the waters would stir. And then if you got into the water as a sick person, you would be healed miraculously. And there's one guy who can't get into the waters because he's too sick and no one helps him in. And then Jesus goes to him and like touches him and he becomes well again. But the
Mm.
point is that Jesus is hanging around these clearly kind of power spots, that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sounds like a power spot.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'd be surprised if he wasn't into it. I
Yeah.
don't know.
What's your
Like
theory on energy lines? What do you feel like they are? What and power spots? What does that mean to you?
um well, I always try and bring it back to something we know. So scientists currently think of the consciousness as shown by electromagnetic activity in the brain as well as biological synapses. But electromagnetic activity is a very big kind of proxy for consciousness. And the most complex electromagnetic activity in the solar system is the sun. So the sun could be the mind of the solar system, the kind of brain of the solar system, or the consciousness. So that's one thing. So if you take that general principle and you have like a kind of a nervous system or like, let's say that the Chinese qi, the channels of qi and meridian lines and this kind of thing going through the body, if that exists for our body, then it would also probably exist for the body of the earth. Whether or not we know exactly how to describe what that actually is. I mean, they're starting to think of telluric currents. Have you heard about these telluric
No.
currents?
No, what's
So
that?
in science, they're basically slightly unknown forces that go through, they're like sort of lines of energy that go through the earth that can be picked up somehow. That might be a kind of overlay onto ley lines.
Mm-hmm.
But I think from a kind of just a felt perspective, I certainly feel in certain places you feel something in your body that
Yeah.
you can't feel else in other places.
Yeah.
And you feel maybe a heightened sense of presence, or your energy gets stirred up, or
Mm.
you feel it intensely. So how you explain that is, like, I'm sure it's open to
Mm.
debate. But I think starting from kind of direct experience, I think I have felt a certain power in the landscape in certain parts of the landscape.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to make of it sometimes, but it makes sense that there are kind of lines, or not necessarily lines, but like channels of energy running through, because there are channels of energy running through me.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't why they wouldn't be
And
running
the
through the
birds are
body as well.
navigating by something. Things are navigating and following migratory routes, and there's some
Yeah,
sort of net over the world that the animals are using. So that, why could we not be walking that and feeling it ourselves?
yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So what about a chaos crusade?
Okay. Yeah. So I was thinking about this, how to do it. It's all about questions. So if you want to create a chaos, you ask more questions. I
Mm.
think that's what I was
Yeah.
going with this. So because answers close down, or they create order.
Mm.
Answers sometimes they create disorder, but like let's say they create order. But so maybe lie on your bed or get into a comfortable position and ask your body to start talking to you, and ask it to say what's most important to you right now, and keep following the answer wherever it leads. And the chances are, if you do that properly, you're going to create a bit of chaos in your life where you have to go
Mm.
and sort out something that wasn't there before.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. I love that. I was straight away doing it. I was like, yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Because your body can talk to you. It's talking to you all the time.
Yeah.
And and like, I've been working with my solar plexus a lot over the last 2 months, 3 months. It's been a big feature of these last few months. And this sort of sense of yourself radiating outwards. But it does sort of talk to you, and it kind of tells you when things are out of alignment with you. And you don't always understand it. Like, you may actually your head may be thinking this is a good thing, and your body's tensing, and you're thinking, why is that not good? And you don't really
Mm.
even understand it. like around a certain person, you might start to feel contraction there. And it might be because that person is somehow making you come away from your center and not being in alignment with who you are. And that gives you information, but it's likely to create chaos because you might end up having to do something that you don't normally do, which usually creates a bit of chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there'll be things you're not listening to that you've been ignoring and putting off. It's an interesting time to do it as well because we're in Cancer energy at the moment and it's very much about emotions, and so probably a lot of people are feeling quite emotional at the moment. So that
Yeah.
would be a good time to be doing it. So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And are you walking any pilgrimages soon? What's your pilgrimage plans?
Yeah, I'm doing a Glastonbury one on the 9th of August.
Excellent.
So gentle introduction to all the mystical sites of Glastonbury.
Oh, wow.
Over
Lovely.
one day, just one day,
Yeah.
five,
Wonderful.
5 miles.
Excellent.
And then
Excellent.
the next one after that I've got planned is in London for Michaelmas. So
Mm,
on 29th of September, walking from Tower of London to Westminster Abbey, arriving to listen to the choir sing and going to the feast of Archangel Michael and all angels. And it's quite an amazing experience because you don't in our day and age, we don't have kind of grand ceremonies talking about angels
mm.
anymore.
Yeah.
There are so many unemployed angels because we're not asking them to do anything.
Yeah.
So it's a good day to go and ask your angels to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Michael. He's my friend. And Mary.
Yeah.
They're dear friends. Yeah, wonderful. I'm going to start walking the Michael and Apollo line this September, which is four and a
Ah,
half thousand miles. I'm not doing it all in one go. I'm going to be doing it in chunks. So I'm looking for a mad sailor. I need to find a mad sailor, ideally. Otherwise, we're going to have to do it with ferries, but I'd rather get a mad sailor. So we're going to go from Michael Skellig, bottom of Ireland, to St. Michael's Mount, the Mont Saint Michel, and then walk 250 miles to Le Mans in France. So yeah, that's going to be fun. But
amazing.
it'd be great if we could find a mad sailor to do the water bit with us. But if not, then we're going to have to do it by transport. Yeah,
You'll find someone.
yeah, I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will.
Yeah, they will. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so
Um,
much, Guy.
maybe call them a sacred sailor, and maybe
A
it'll happen
sacred
quicker.
sailor. I want. Yeah, okay. All sailors are mad, to be
You
fair.
want you want the drunken? Do you want the drunken sailor? The
Yeah,
fool.
I want the fool. Yeah, totally. It's a fool's
Yeah,
quest.
okay.
Someone needs to be up for it, and yeah. But yes, a sacred sailor. We'll have a sacred sailor.
Mad. I don't know. Fool isn't necessarily mad. Oh, yeah, yeah. Foolish. The foolish
The
sailor.
foolish sacred sailor. It's maybe a bit
Okay,
healthier.
nice. Yeah. Who knows?
Excellent. Oh, well, thank you ever so much, Guy. And
Yeah. Thank you.
keep doing the good work. It's awesome
You
stuff that
too.
you're doing.
No, I'm so grateful to you for the quality that you bring to this whole movement that's happening.
Thank you.
It's really it's really it's really inspirational for people, and I hope more people do what you're doing. I mean,
Mm,
it's very natural for you, but it'd be great if people started to make their pilgrimages more artworks,
mm,
um, turning what they're doing into a piece of art, which is what you do so well.
yeah.
So yeah,
I just always
thank
wanted
you.
to be a traveling player, like exactly like the minstrel friend that you met. Like I
Yeah,
grew up as a Tudor reenactor and watched the players rehearse and do their plays since I was like 12, 13. And I just go, well, I was 10 when I first started watching them. And then when I was 13, I got allowed to join them. I was like, yeah. And then every summer would be a player at this reenactment. And I still go there now. I'll be there in August doing it. And then just have tried to engineer my life to be as much like that as I possibly can because I love it.
yeah.
So yeah, it's good. I love doing it. And Mama's plays are just they're the theatre department of folk and are kind of the least well known bit. But I love it because there's only a couple of Mama's plays in the world, Robin Hood being one of them, George and the Dragon being the other. And it means you can make your own. So we wrote our own about King Arthur and
Well, that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, I really enjoy doing it because it feels like you're being traditional. So you kind of cover all bases, even whatever type
Mm.
of person you are in the UK, it's like, oh, it's traditional English, so they're up for it. And then other people are like, yeah, but it's obviously a bit pagan and wah wah as well. And you're like, yeah, it's all of these things.
Yeah, I've started doing it for Dalesford, this sort of like posh farming brand in
Oh,
the
cool.
Cotswolds,
Yes, I
and
know that.
I've been taking them around the market garden as Green George and Baron Barrenfield about the.
Brilliant.
And so I've been dressed in a DJ, and I'm Baron Barrenfield, like arguing for farming that just removes all health and like
Oh, so
strips and is
good.
only done for spreadsheet. And then they have Green George, who's their head of organic growing, and he wears a big cape of vegetation. And we speak in rhyming couplets to each other. It's very
Yeah,
funny and
it's perfect. And you can do so much
perfect.
with it. Yeah, I love it. I think of it as physical graffiti. It's like you get to go out there and just say your message to the world,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
oh,
It's
it's
cool.
allowed, it's traditional. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Dalesford's one of the places we stay at when we go along the Spine of Albion route. So that's one of
Oh,
our
cool.
places along that route. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well done. Thank
All
you ever
right.
so much. And thank
Yeah.
you. I'll see you soon. Mwah. Take care.
Bye. See
Bye.
you. Bye.
That was the awesome Guy Hayward. I really enjoyed that conversation. It's pilgrimage is so rich, and yeah, it is available for anyone. You just I mean, you need to get good kit, and you can get really nerdy about the kit, and I'm always up for a nerd out with anyone if they want any help or information. I've actually got a kit list. We've got a website, pilgrimagefornature.com, and there's a kit list on there. So I think if you go, it might need digging around a little bit. I think if you click on go walking, like the come walking option, I think it has the kit list on there. But that's a really good comprehensive kit list. We use that for all our pilgrimages. But do get in touch with me if you have any questions. I want everyone to have this experience and to get to know Albion and Mother Earth, but it's Albion for me. You know, walking the length and breadth of the UK, it's just so enriching, and you are flabbergasted by how beautiful the land is. Like, we walk about 10 miles a day, and no 10 miles are the same. No 10 miles of the UK are the same. Apart from when you're walking along the Ridgeway. The Ridgeway is the one point where we get lost in this amazing landscape, but you're walking with your ancestors, and even though that feels, you know, it is the same kind of landscape-ish for a day or two here and there, but then it will still change as it goes along. You're staying at sacred sites, so like Wayland Smithy and Dragon Hill, and it's just stunning. It's absolutely stunning. You can feel the ancestors there with you. So that's where I normally really get lost. I talk about, you know, when in the interview I was talking about Kairos time, that was the place where I was sat above Wantage looking down, where we were just lost in Kairos time, because it was a similar landscape for a couple of days. We just were lost in this place. It was like we didn't know where we were anymore, and it was amazing, and I felt so at peace. It was incredible, and I want everyone to feel that. I feel like we all deserve some peace in the world at the moment with everything that's going on. So get your kit, get your bag on your back, and just go walk and do it. It's amazing. And I do also really recommend following the Michael and Mary line, or one of the lines on the Pilgrimage Trust website that aren't necessarily Camino. You know, the Camino's really famous, but there's a lot of people there. The thing I really enjoy about walking the Michael and Mary lines is no one else is doing it. There's no one else there. It's just you. And there's something very special about that. And also keeping the footpaths open. You know, it's important we use our footpaths in the UK. So just go walk, do it. All right. Lots of love. And I'll see you at the end on.